Everybody likes to fit in and feel as though they belong. As humans, we crave it. It's like that feeling you get when you score a goal on the pitch and all your mates huddle round to congratulate you. Or perhaps the kudos you may get from having the latest phone or designer labels. It's hard enough these days being an adult, so imagine being 14. Imagine feeling everybody else is out there drinking, having sex, or even taking drugs, while you're sat at home watching The X Factor with your parents, or perhaps babysitting your cousin on a Saturday night. Isolation can be a lonely feeling. But is everybody else really out there doing what you think they're doing? And as adults, what do we think teenagers get up to when our backs are turned? My name's Rebecca and I'm here in Swindon to find out whether the perceptions of young people really do match the reality. And we've come to the classroom to ask young people what they think is really happening.
What about alcohol? Do you think many people your age are drinking?
A lot of people in our year do drink.
You really scroll through your newsfeed on Facebook and you see gatherings and stuff like that.
See loads of like
meetups
parties
and
Everybody say teenagers are like dangerous and untrustworthy and non-reliable.
People sometimes think it's cool to do it, so then if they do it, everyone will start and they'll may get popular by it.
I'd say it's more older kids that influence people than people in our year.
It's more common that your friends will tell you to smoke than your family.
Yeah, like loads of programmes like Jersey Shore and things like that. You see people going out and getting drunk and messing about, and because they're so drunk they get arrested and stuff. And I think it could go two ways. It could influence people to drink, or it could put people off drinking.
You always get asked by all your friends if you've tried something.
Yeah,
and if you haven't, they
no.
just take the right mick out of you.
if you're brought up that way, then you're gonna kind of copy what your parents do. And so I do think it's down to a lot of parents as well. Because some people parents buy it, buy whatever they want.
My parents are fine with me trying stuff, but it's when you take it a bit too far, and then
It has changed since I was little, because there was none of this. None. You didn't, no one knew what weed was.
it does seem to have sort of got more common that people do it from when we were smaller.
When I walk round mine, it's always you see loads of groups of people, and it's you want to take a different path to get away from them because they're kind of dodgy.
So we've taken some time to find out what young people think about their peers. We're asking 13 to 15-year-olds in Swindon to anonymously tell us how frequently, if ever, they participate in risk-taking behaviours. The survey covers areas such as smoking, alcohol, drugs, sex and relationships. Crucially, we will be also asking them to estimate the proportion of others participating in these behaviours to see whether their perception equals the reality.
Morning everyone, we're going to ask you to do a survey this morning. You're going to get some feedback at the end, so I want you to be completely honest. When you're ready, you can start.
While we wait for students to complete the survey, let's find out what adults in Swindon think.
I don't know, about 50% maybe.
10%.
50? 10%? I think probably a bit higher, 60 to 70 maybe.
I would probably say 10%.
50%? I don't know, I'll go low again, 10. I think over 50% as well.
I should think probably 20, 30%.
40% I think. 20% as a guess.
It's now time to find out what's really going on with young people in Swindon. We start with smoking, where young people perceive that 1 in 2 of their friends are smoking. However, we can reveal that 88% of them told us they were not smoking, so that's almost 9 in 10 choosing not to smoke. We move on to alcohol, where young people said they believe that 90% of their friends are drinking. The actual recorded results are that 49% never drink alcohol and 36% are drinking once a month or less. So we have a combined 85% who are drinking infrequently or not at all. Now on to cannabis. The perception is that a staggering 56% of people their age has at least tried the drug. The reported reality is that 93% of young people in Swindon haven't. And finally, the big question about sex. Is everyone really doing it? Well, only 7% said they are, while the perception is that 4 times that many are having sex. Once again, a huge misperception. So how do these results match up with parent perceptions? At a recent parents' evening, we asked 100 parents to tell us what they think is happening among their child's age group. Parents were given a choice of 3 answers in relation to how many students didn't smoke, rarely or never drank alcohol, and ate breakfast each day. On smoking, only 36% got the correct answer, with almost 2/3 thinking smoking rates were higher. In terms of alcohol, 66% thought drinking rates were higher than actually reported, and that most students didn't eat breakfast despite 2/3 saying they did. In summary, we have seen that students, parents and those in the community are significantly overestimating the participation of young people in these behaviours. It means that for those making positive choices around alcohol, smoking and drugs, or perhaps choosing to wait before having sex, they're actually in the overwhelming majority and not the minority as they clearly seem to think. These are the social norms that young people are making decisions on, as Angela Milliken explains.
We know that young people are influenced by their peer group and often make choices based on what they think their peer group are doing. The social norms approach aims to give young people the real picture of what everyone else is doing, and this should enable them to make better choices and reduce their risk-taking behaviour. The survey results have shown us that young people in Swindon think that lots of others their age are drinking, smoking, having sex and engaging in a whole range of risk-taking behaviours than is actually the case. We know that this can lead to more pressure to conform to these types of behaviours.
So what did students and the public in Swindon think when we told them the results?
I was surprised at that.
Are you surprised?
Better than I expected, to be honest.
I thought that more people smoked from the way they talked about it.
So quite a lot of people are saying drug-free at the moment. It's a good thing, it's just, yeah, thought more people would have done it, to be honest.
That's really surprising. Yeah. Yeah, if you think about how many people you think that smoke and then you think how many people that actually do smoke, it's quite shocking. Yeah.
Lots of people are kind of talking about going to clubs and stuff and letting them drink and stuff.
Really? 12%? Are they lying?
Really? God, I really did genuinely think it was higher than that.
That's really surprising because I thought a lot of people smoke in our year, but then the answer's right there.
So now we know the truth about young people and what they're doing, can we use this knowledge to change perceptions adults have of young people? Can we use the information to change perceptions young people have of themselves? And is it possible that by changing these perceptions we can actually delay, reduce or prevent risk-taking behaviours? Gary Lovett explains why promoting and repeating the positive truth into students is so important.
Promoting the social norms message back to young people is the really crucial element of this programme and towards achieving a positive and measurable behaviour change. The evidence shows us that if we can localise this message right down to the school and even involve students in the campaigns themselves, then this will carry a far greater impact than simply just telling them the results.
Students took part in a range of feedback activities, from having their photo taken with key messages to taking part in interactive feedback sessions. A group of children using a mobile phone app to find out the results themselves.
What? It says unlucky.
So the students have now received their feedback, and in some cases they've been surprised by the results. Now it's time to repeat the survey to find out if their perceptions of each other really have changed. So how did the results of the repeat survey come out? Well, for smoking, there's been a significant change, with young people now perceiving that 6 out of 10 of others in Swindon are not smoking. In St Joseph's, where much of the intervention work was done, perceptions have improved, even more to beyond 70%, and much closer to the actual 9 out of 10 figure. In terms of alcohol, young people now believe that almost half of others are not drinking at all, which is getting closer to the actual reported rates. And interestingly, when you compare all this to areas where no or little intervention took place, for example, cannabis, young people believe behaviours to be worse than when first surveyed, showing the importance of delivering a strong and consistent message to young people. So in summary, where young people have received little or no feedback, their perceptions have stayed the same or even moved more negatively. And where interventions have taken place, the data has shifted positively, significantly so in the schools offering most activities. This is a great result for schools and young people in Swindon.
Most of the work we've done in Swindon is within our schools. However, it is important that the rest of the community also support the findings that we have to ensure that the message around positive behaviour is actually reinforced amongst our children and young people.
We have found that if we can engage young people using mobile and social media, then they can actually buy into the message on their terms and in a way that is completely measurable. At times we've had to take an innovative approach to try and maximise resources, but the one thing for sure is that the message is definitely getting through.
To change young people's misperceptions, we've worked closely with schools and put in place a range of interventions that give positive, credible messages that young people can relate to, given the real message about how good the behaviour actually is. We feel that this has been a very successful approach, and the results have shown that not only perception, but in some cases behaviour has changed for the better, as young people understand that the majority of their peer group are behaving in a very responsible, non-risk-taking manner.
Results in Swindon show us that this universal approach can change perceptions and behaviours, and that what we do know is that later on in life, when these young people aren't smoking and aren't drinking to excess, that they will have better health outcomes, and therefore this prevention agenda for us is very important in Swindon.
We started this programme trying to find out about how young people viewed each other. We also got the opinions of both many school staff and parents, and almost all believed the behaviours to be more prevalent than is actually the case. Whether it's negative media reporting or exaggerations among young people themselves, it appears that young people are not actually getting the truth about what's happening among their peers. And the message here in Swindon and in many other parts of the UK is quite simple. It's okay to wait. Most people do. If feeling good is about being in the crowd, there's a strong possibility you're already there.